That all being said, it's time for an interview with a very inspiring lady. But before I'm going to introduce her to you, and I think I have to give the clicker away too. There you are. This is your cue. Before I'm going to introduce you to her, please have a look at this video.
Taught not to raise eyebrows.
Taught not to be different.
And taught to feel ashamed.
But what if I were comfortable in my own skin?
Proud to fight like a girl. Resilient, independent, wild.
Filled with ether, fueled by air, forged by fire, revived by water, and nourished by earth.
Different. In our appearance, in our love, in our skin.
Because what if difference is our superpower?
Wow. How do you feel about that? Yeah, goosebumps, really. Yeah. Oh, what if difference is your superpower? Please welcome, with a big round of applause, Diipa Khosla. Join me on stage. Have a seat.
I don't need the mic, right?
No, you don't need the mic. No, you can just ignore it. But do take the water if you like.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just a bit, I've never seen it such a big screen. Just makes me so proud to always look at this one, yeah.
It's such a powerful message. And
Yes.
I wrote down something she said in the video, taught not to raise eyebrows, taught not to be different, taught to be ashamed. And well, if you're talking about goosebumps, those terms, they really gave me goosebumps. Because, hey, it's International Women's Day. I really feel we need to, before we're going to dive into doing business, going abroad, because we want to know all about it, but let's just start with a question about diversity and inclusion. If you hear this, taught not to raise eyebrows, taught not to be different, taught to be ashamed, what do you think is the state of women's rights, diversity, inclusion in 2022? Do we still need to do a lot? Are we on the right track? What do you feel?
Well, personally, I'm quite the optimist. So I do believe we have a lot of work to do, but what a time to be alive as a woman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the opportunities we have, thanks to all the women before us and all the fights they've fought, I think it is the best time ever in the history of the world to be a woman. So yes, we have a lot to do, but I'm very honored and proud to be a brown Indian woman today. I am.
A global Indian. That's
a global Indian. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
That's on her Instagram, if you go there. Global Indian. I found that really inspiring. Do you feel like a global Indian?
Yeah. So I think, and maybe a lot of women in the world can relate to this, but I was born and raised in India. Mm-hmm. Then I feel like my life is in 3 chapters. So there was a very normal Indian girl until the age of 12. Literally, like, if you look at those incredible India ads, you know, with the schoolgirls going with oil in their hair, I was like literally that. And then from 12 to 18, I went to a British boarding school because both my mom and dad were both working. And so that's like phase 2, where I guess my school had 132 nationalities, and my best friends were Korean and Kenyan, and like I really became international there. And then phase 3 is coming to Holland for university, and then moving to London for a bit, and then, you know, back to Holland. So I find these 3 very distinct phases that shapes me to who I am. So in my soul, I'm just a combination of all of those. And I really, I think, took the best of all of those cultures to make me who I am today.
Yeah, and you're such an inspiring role
Thank
model
you.
today.
Thank
So
you.
do you feel that you had to overcome more or different challenges being a female entrepreneur if you compare yourself to male entrepreneurs? Is there a difference?
I mean, I think, again, you know, the thing is, I'm sure there is, and there have been moments and instances and anecdotes I could think of where things were different. But again, if I just boil it down to who I am as a person, I feel like I'm very like goal-oriented and very like what someone was saying, laser-focused, that even if there was a difference within the room, I don't let that affect me per se, and almost take it as a challenge, to be like, you know, I know you don't see it this way or you don't understand me today, but you will. Or like kind of make your stance. And what we said in this video as well, being that small brown woman, make that your armor, like make that your strength almost. And being underestimated is so powerful because you already go in knowing that they don't think much of you, like in a boardroom full of men or especially with investors, stuff like that. They don't expect you to be smart or to perhaps be the one who's leading the business. And being underestimated is beautiful because then when you just open your mouth, they're like, oh
wow.
okay.
Yeah, she knows what she's talking
exactly.
about.
And so I've always used that a little bit to my power and liked it. And it's like, at the end of the day, a fun game, right? Business is really, really fun if you make it into like a fun board game. It's like, okay, how do I get from A to B in the most creative, smartest, fastest way? And so if you look at it that way, yeah, you just turn every challenge into an opportunity.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's your reaction to that? Don't you love it? Yeah. That's your superpower. That really resonates, I think. So let's talk about business. You are the founder of Inde Wild. Do I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the whole thing about it. We wanted people to pronounce it however they want. Kind of like Jacquemus, like no one knows how to say it, and therein lies the beauty.
Everyone knows.
But it is a play on independent and wild, so you can say Inde, Indie, it's all good.
Okay, Inde Wild, and co-founder of the Post for Change Foundation. So you have done quite some business, well, yourself.
Yeah.
So take us back a little. If we talk about Inde Wild, how did you get the idea for Inde Wild?
So it wasn't one of those like one singular aha moments. I honestly believe I was destined to create this brand because of many little things that came about. So firstly, my mom is a dermatologist and an Ayurvedic doctor. And the principles of Inde Wild are based on Ayurveda from India combined with dermatology. So that was something I grew up with as a child, like mom building up concoctions in the kitchen or, you know, having all her dermatology books everywhere. Like that was my childhood. Then fast forward to when I was a teenager, I had acne for 10 years and it just wouldn't go away. Not because I think I didn't have the options because mom was a doctor. It was more I was this obsessive child, teenager who would just try things every week. And I tried everything from the most harshest chemicals to, you know, the purest Ayurvedic ingredients to homeopathy to changing my diet, and nothing worked because I was doing too much. And in that process, learned a lot about skincare and like the holistic way of looking at health and beauty. And then fast forward to when I became an influencer, one of my main kind of missions was very much about empowering the South Asian woman. So all of those three, I guess, facets come together in Inde Wild, where it is about skincare, it is about bringing a culture like Ayurveda and like globalizing that, and it's about empowering the South Asian woman. So, yeah.
I love the empowering part of it. You can really tell if you're looking at the video, it is empowering. This is a female brand that really, I don't know, speaks to every one of us, each and every one of us. I love that. I see a lot of passion in your eyes if you talk about your business. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is passion
100%.
important for you while doing business?
Yeah, like I think if you are really passionate about what you do and you make that your job, you're never going to work a day in your life. Like, it's truly that simple. And I very, very much am. Like, if you ask my team, they'll literally tell you, like, she's this energy ball who's just, like, constantly coming up with ideas, way to do things. And if you have that ingrained in your company culture, that the team and you and everybody around you is just so full of passion and energy for this combined mission that we're working towards, it really, really makes work fun. And if you think about it, the awake hours you are in a week, you're working most of the time.
Yeah.
If you're not going to have fun doing that, then,
What are you doing?
yeah,
Yeah.
YOLO. You live
Yeah.
once, so might as well
YOLO,
enjoy
everyone.
your work.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So you're launching internationally. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we have already launched internationally. People call us crazy, but so what we did is we're 4 months alive now, that Inde Wild's been live, and we're already in the US, Canada, and the UK. And we're launching in India next month. And that's just like crazy. And when people in the beginning were like, take it easy, girl, like launch in one country first and then, learn a bit. I always am so global, like I just told you guys my past. It was too small for me just to do it in one country, firstly. And secondly, I think the reason we did it is my community is so global that we knew if we wouldn't cater to the majority of them as soon as possible, their kind of like waiting or expectation would turn into almost anger at one point and be like, how is this fair that you give it to them and not us? And how is it fair? Da, da, da. So I think because of that, being a very customer-centric brand, and we did a lot of focus groups and realized that the need and a hunger for a brand like this to really resonate with them was so important that we just went against all odds and like launched in multiple countries. But yeah, I think I wouldn't recommend it to everyone. I think it is great to learn one country first and then slowly move to other countries. But we really did it the other way. So I can share, examples, or what would you like anecdotes or something around
Oh,
it?
yeah, coming to the anecdotes
Okay.
in a sec. But you said you launched in US, in the UK, Canada, and now you're ready for India.
Yeah.
Why in that order?
Multiple reasons again. Firstly, the reason why we launched US, Canada first together was that they know e-com inside out. For us, it was very much like plug and play. Like everything is sorted there. They know beauty, they know the e-com world. They just know it. That for us, it was like a no-brainer. The harder part in the US was more the regulations, finding an accountancy firm, creating a local entity. Like those things were a bit more complicated because we hadn't done it before. But purely from like the e-com side of things, it was,
It
quite
makes
easy. Like
sense.
finding a warehouse, all of that was easy. So US made, and then combined with that, after India, US and Canada have the most following on my Instagram. So it was like, okay, a big customer base, plus it's quite easy. Let's start there. And then, of course, the US is a very big beauty market, so that helps as well.
Yeah.
And then the UK was next because similarly to the US, they understand e-com and beauty quite well. And then it was the second most following after the US in the UK. So yeah, we went with UK second.
You're talking about following. You have a lot of followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
How many followers do you have again?
1.6.
1.6 million, that is.
Yeah.
So quite the influencer.
Yeah.
Really inspiring how you took this into this business and how you, deciding what the order should be.
Yeah.
I think you can, learn from that.
Make it very customer centric. I think that is
Yes.
my main tip. Make it all about the customer. Because in 2022, back in the day, I always said beauty was very top down, where it was a few people, mostly white men, sitting in the offices of L'Oreal or Estee Lauder, almost prescribing to you, you need this mascara, buy it. And now beauty is a bit democratic, where it's upside down, where it's like, listen to them, what do you want? And then create that for them. So being customer-centric in beauty or fashion or any brand is so important. Like listen, get feedback, iterate, and then do it again, and like keep them in the center of everything.
You did that quite extensively.
Very
because
much, yeah.
I think it took you 2 years from the start of the idea until finally launching.
Yeah.
Why 2 years? Can you share your experiences with that?
Because of being very thorough. So in any industry, you can either, get, and it's like there's no like shame in it, like absolutely people should do it, which is that you get a white label product and you can put your name on it and kind of sell it. But for us, it was very much about creating something from like bare brass tacks, like nothing, and we really wanted to create something having heard all their feedback. So when we went out to create our formulas and our product, which I'm very proud of, we really dug deep into the research, dug deep to experts, to like dermatologists, to really ask everyone, what do you think is the best serum for women of color? What is needed in that? And then from there, we went on to find labs that could create that, and then keep it at a accessible price point. And for our 2 serums, we had 42 iterations that we changed it and perfected and perfected and perfected and perfected.
42
So
iterations.
that took
42.
And this all happened during a pandemic, by the way. So that took a long time because of also just making sure the samples come to you. You try it and then send it back, and then the next sample, and then you send it back. So that's why it took 2 years.
Was it frustrating? 42 iteration must take a lot of energy as well.
No, I think at one point the team was like, okay, can we just launch? Like, this is too much. But I'm very, 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 like, almost anal about the product needs to be perfect. That, yes, it was a bit delayed, but I think we were never frustrated. Like, we just spent the time, perfecting the marketing plan, perfecting the PR plan, we were just busy, so it was okay.
Well, you can tell, because it is an awesome launch video, isn't it?
Thank you.
So, different countries, different cultures. Now spill the anecdotes.
Okay, so I think the main difference that we experience between, say, the US and Canada are quite similar, so there are not that many stories there, but between, say, so our core team is in Holland, in the Netherlands, and then we have a few team members in the US, we have a few team members in India, so the team is quite split up, but everyone's working remotely anyway. So when we launched in India, or we're about to launch in India, the main difference with the team in India versus, say, our global team in the Netherlands is communication is like a whole different ball game there. Like, they are total like WhatsAppers, so they only want to communicate on WhatsApp, and they don't understand email. What is email? They don't understand Slack or any of these like things that we used to like organize things here. They don't get it. So the only way to really communicate with our Indian team is through WhatsApp, which is really difficult for our global team who've got their systems of operations and their organized way of working. And so I think just the joke around that is like still a running gag in our office, because we still haven't figured that out, because they're still so like WhatsApp focused, that I think it's going to have to be one of the two have to like force each other just to like get into that way of working and then follow through. And then with the US, actually, compared to Europeans, people in the US are rather PC, I guess that's the way we can put it. And so the way you kind of can joke around here, or the way you can kind of be quite free in your talking, is not the same in the US. They're much more professional. They're much more kind of like, this is my work face, and like very like proper. And then, you can, I guess, chill with them later on when you're on a holiday, but in work, they're very
it's
work.
Really serious.
Yeah. While we're all like quite, funny and
quite informal,
Yeah, having wine with your business meeting, and like we're quite relaxed, which is something I think they appreciate. And when it comes to PC-ness, I remember when we hired a US PR firm, they asked me for a media training, and I was like, I don't need a media training. Like, I'm okay. Like, I've done interviews in my life. I'm fine. They're like, no, you need a media training. I was like, okay. And so then I'm sitting there in the Zoom call with like this 4 people from the PR team, and they're all like, okay, so in the US, this is how we answer questions. This is how you do not give any information away. Always say, I'll circle back. Like, do not give away information you're not sure about. And like, don't say anti-aging. Don't say da-da-da. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, there's so many things that you need to a little bit like walk on eggshells, where I suppose also the journalists there are different in their way of working. So these were a few moments I was like, okay, it is a very different culture. Like, people there, and like rightfully so, I think, have faced with a lot of different things, especially with like after Black Lives Movement, like they're very, very sensitive there. So I need to be very careful the way we speak to our team there, or we speak to press there, media there, where you could get away here with a lot perhaps. And so that was just like one of those moments I'm like, okay, working in the US, you gotta shift your mind a bit, you know, and then working back in Europe, you can kind of shift it back. And then working in India is a whole other ball game. There, they are still very much about hustle and very much about last minute stuff. So we, because Lulu and I, when we were in India, we managed to create a photo shoot in like one night. An entire campaign shoot.
Yeah?
Our entire hair campaign shoot in India was created in 24 hours. Nowhere in the world is that possible.
No.
But for some reason in India, that's how it works. Everyone works on like last minute hustle. They have this word for it. It's called jugaad, which is Jugaad. And it's like street language for last minute hustle. And I'm like, okay. And everyone works on jugaad in India. So if you know that, you can get so much done there, you know? So yeah, those are a few examples of working internationally.
Wow. And do you feel that you needed to adjust your company or your brand or per country? Or is it just about selling the message?
See, because I think already from the get-go, our brand was very focused on the South Asian woman.
Yeah.
And we really considered to put that, like with the focus groups we did, we really took into the elements that was important to the global diaspora of South Asian women, that we don't per se have to change the brand so much per country, but more internal working, you know? So our internal working in India is different to the US, etc. But like outward facing, we're the same in every country. Yeah.
Let's take a deep dive into India, because we had a prep call. And during the prep call, you said, oh, I could talk for hours if you're going to ask me something about doing business in India. Well, you already addressed quite some things. Do you want to add stuff?
Sure. So I think India is very comparable to other developing countries where opportunity is insane, but they're not used to, or like maybe in Europe, we're used to working in a different way to how countries there are. So I think for us, the most important thing, and for anyone looking to like launch in a developing country, just go there, get to know the local know-how, get to have a local team. Like just those little things make a big difference. Luckily, because I was born and raised in India for the first 18 years of my life, I kind of know the mentality, and I am Indian, so I know how to do things there, so that really helps. But having said that, because India, with our new prime minister and the kind of political system there, it's a very, they love exporting, but they hate importing. So import right now is a big hassle in India. So in the beginning, we were getting ready goods from our Canadian factory to India to launch in India. And so our unit economics is usually quite healthy in the US, but then when we're coming to India, they were charging us $9 per product just to import it.
$9
And I was
per
like,
product?
yeah, and it was crazy because they just want a made in India brand. India wants to promote India and like the economy, and they're like, if you want to export, great, increase our economy, export stuff, but do not import anything. So then after months of working on that, we were like, back up, like there's no way we're gonna make this. Like we need to make a made in India brand purely
because you want to have fair prices as well.
Exactly.
If you want to sell your product there.
Yeah, and we want to make it accessible.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing was that the middle class in India should be able to afford this brand. Like we don't want to make it luxury. And so then the entire team got together and we made a huge decision of let's make a made in India brand from scratch. Which is why our India launch was a bit delayed. But right now when we launch in about a month's time, we will be a fully made in India brand so we bought the formulas from the Canadian lab and remanufactured it completely in India. And that's also really like a pride moment for Indians to be like, she didn't just get us a European or American, label here. She's making it really here. And they love that. Like, it really resonates with them even more. So overall, I think we made a good decision, but it took us so much time because...
Do you now have 2 factory lines then? You still have the factory line in Canada.
Yes. So right
and
now,
you have it in India.
with our 2 product launches coming up, we'll have 4 factories globally.
Wow.
And 8 warehouses.
It's very impressive.
It's anyone know a head of operations? We're ready to hire. We're very complicated. Yeah. It's quite a complicated machine already. Yeah.
How big is your team globally?
I think 15 at this point.
That's also very impressive because what you're telling, I would say 15.
Yeah,
How about
every one of the
150?
team members is like superpower.
Yeah.
They're like a total powerhouse. So I think each of us do the work of like 2 or 3 people, but we really enjoy it. So
And you really believe in
We
the
do.
product, and
Yeah,
that helps.
we do.
So I watched your TEDx talk. That's a tip for everyone. Please look it up. And I think the motto you shared there was learn, unlearn, relearn. So what was the most important thing for you as an entrepreneur crossing borders, which you needed to learn, unlearn, relearn?
I think communication with the team, partners, suppliers, all of that. I think you have a very clear idea of how you should communicate, but that's not going to work. So I think try it and then unlearn it and then try it again a different way. Like I always joke about the Slack WhatsApp thing, but even, for example, for the longest time, we were doing all our team meetings on Apple Notes. Like we just had it on Notes. And then at one point, you know, the team starts getting professional, you start growing, there's different moving parts, different cultures coming in. That cannot be your way anymore. So we really had to unlearn that, try a new thing. And we, to be honest, we're only alive 4 months, like we're still trying. But I would say communication is the main thing to keep like getting at it and getting it right, especially if it's a global team and people are working remote.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you use that piece of advice? Yeah, I see a lot of people nodding. So one final question before we're going to open up the floor and give you the room to ask your questions. One final piece of advice for all these people watching, people here today in this beautiful venue. If you want to go international with your business, where to start?
3 steps, I think. First step is to have an insane idea or like a business opportunity. So really know that there's something that you want to do and there's a need for it. So that's step 1 to be successful. Step 2 is capital. And what I mean is you need funds, you need a team, you need something to make that idea come to life. And then step 3 is execution, just like execute the shit out of that idea. And without it, like without these 3 main pillars, like if you just have capital and an idea, but no execution, it's not gonna work.
No.
You just have execution and the idea, but no capital or no team, it's gonna run out at one point. And so yeah, you just need all 3 to be a successful business globally, I think.
Execute the shit out of that idea.
Yeah.
Love that quote. I'm going to take that by heart. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
For you, do you have questions? Yes, we have questions. Coming over with the microphone to you. There you go.
So thank you for your talk. It was so inspiring. And I saw your video. We all saw your video. And as a person with a Middle Eastern Indian roots, and I think there's a few more here, I saw like the hairy woman. And like I can definitely identify as a hairy person growing up. But what have been the comments when this has been launched?
Oh my God. Yeah, I think like it would give you goosebumps. And they're still probably live on our social media if you go on our Instagram, but unbelievable. Like people, I mean, thousands and thousands of girls resharing this, talking about how, you know, it really touched them and how like the little them would have loved for a brand like this to exist when they were growing up. Or there's this brand in India called Fair and Lovely, which is very popular, which for a very long time was a whitening brand. That we all grew up with in India. And every time the ad would come up with Fair and Lovely, it would be this woman who was kind of dark and then suddenly she used the whitening cream and she was white, and then she got marriage opportunities and like a great job, and that was our childhood, you know. And so I think a big reason Inde Wild was created was to change the face of beauty in India, to be like, you can be dark and have scars and have hair, and you can still be beautiful, and that is your difference, you know. So it really touched a lot of people. Yeah, we were very proud.
Yeah.
I love
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you so much for your question. Someone else? Oh, I need to choose. Starting with you.
Well, nice to meet you.
You too.
I have two questions. The first one is, do you work with other platforms in, for example, in the US with Sephora? Or
You mean retailers?
Yeah, retail.
No, we specifically decided not to start with that because we wanted to be very community driven and like direct to consumer, so we can really, you know, own the supply chain to them and like keep them in the family. But our strategy is maybe in year 2 to like go into more retailers. For example, in India, we will launch with a retailer, but it's because it really works with our overall strategy of what they believe in. But things like Sephora or Cult Beauty and stuff like that is more for year 2, to like when you really want to scale it. And now we're like focused on building the mission and the community and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And my second question is that, do you have a different pricing strategy? Like, do you sell in different prices in different countries?
Yes, good question. So in the US and the UK, there's a slight difference, also because of taking into consideration the currency differences, but not very different. In India, it will be very different just because we wanted it to be mastige at that, like not prestige, not mass, but mastige sweet spot in all the countries. And the mastige in India is significantly lower than what mastige is in the US, for example. So in India, it's going to be, I think, like $4 or $5 cheaper than if you would buy it in the US. And the reason for that is, for very long, Indians have had to, for an Estee Lauder, pay $15 more because of customs in India. And so we're kind of flipping the script and being like, if you want to buy Inde Wild globally, in India it's the cheapest, and then in the other countries a bit more, to really show it like it's giving ode back to its culture, you know, and keeping it very made in India for India. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And my last question, I
Take
promise.
it away.
Do you have a different packaging also in different countries?
No, only from like a legal perspective, but not like design. No, that the packaging will be the same. Yeah.
Thanks. You had a question? There you go.
Hi. Thanks a lot for this a lot of inspiration. I have a question about your second business, because I saw that you also have like a post for change. And how did you came up by that idea, and what are you doing? I saw that you have like 3 pillars, and what are you doing with the mental health part?
Yeah. So Post for Change is not really a business, it's more an NGO. So my husband and I started that about 2.5 years ago. He is a former diplomat, a Dutch diplomat, and I was then an influencer as well. And the reason Post for Change was started was because he used to speak to a lot of, like he worked in Iraq, in Baghdad for a while, and he worked with UN women there on the ground. And for very long, he's like, you know, UN women do such amazing things on the ground. I wish there was a microphone to share that further. And I'm like, there's so many women on social media who would love to amplify that message. Isn't there a way we can make this work? And so Post for Change was joined as a bridge to create between social media content creators who wanted to lend their voices for awareness and like causes, and organizations like UNICEF, UN Women, and others. So when we started 2.5 years ago, the first project we did was with UNICEF on menstrual hygiene in India, and that reached insanely 110 million impressions, the campaign. And so right from the bat, the UNICEF team was like, oh my God. And then our team was like, oh my God. And so we immediately knew it was something that we had to do more with. And then for the longest time in the first year, we tried a bunch. We also worked with Selfridges on their sustainability efforts. We did a little bit of, women's empowerment. So it was a bit of everything. And then only last year did we decide, okay, I think we need to have a focus and refine what we're gonna do. And that's where the mental health pillar came in, and the SDG 5 basically came in. And with mental health, what we've done so far is focused on colorism as a big part of it, and focused again to the women in India, because we feel that country, and because it's my home country as well, we have a lot of connections, and our impact is just a lot more focused and bigger. So right now, Post for Change's main country focus is India, and we've done a bunch of anti-colorism campaigns around that, and we've done a very big petition as well to make Bollywood basically stop whitewashing their celebrities, or to really make the next generation of actors and actresses be an actual representation of how the country looks, and not the 1% who are really white, but actually have the actresses look like us. And so those are the things we've done around that. Yeah.
Was that an answer to your question?
Yes, sure.
Great.
Good.
Wow. I'm afraid we need to wrap it up, but if you still have questions, are you going to stick around
I think
for
for
a
a
while?
little bit. I
Yeah?
do have another meeting, but I'll be here for a little bit.
Okay, so if you have questions, please make sure to ask them quick.
Yes.
Because Diipa is going to leave us in a bit.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Having a conversation with such an awesome female role model on International Women's
Thank
Day.
you.
That was
It's
best.
honored to be here with you as well, and all you women. And I think earlier you were talking about your bag brands and how you've been working on it for a decade and you're almost giving up. I think if all of us have said anything today, it's just don't give up. Keep your conviction going and work hard, but work smart as well. I think luckily, the world we live in today, we have every resource, from Google to things like this to, just go out there and just keep trying and being smart about it, and you'll get the success. Just don't give up on it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of Women's Day.
Yes, very exciting.
Well,
everybody as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I have a seat if you like? Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.